By listening to our student voices at our December PD, one of the things that we learned is that students want a blend of traditional pedagogic methods and technology. Now, this can take different forms. Of course, it could mean using technology heavily one day and then not at all the next day, and creating a balance over the course of the semester. But it could also mean within a 90-minute class period itself. The following lesson is not exemplary. Quite honestly, it's not rigorous enough. This was the lesson given the first day back after the holiday break. But I think the lesson does show how you can have a variety of activities in the 90-minute period that utilize technology and also rely on more traditional methods of pedagogy and, of course, students interacting with each other. The following lesson contains a variety of elements. It has direct instruction elements, it has student-to-student interactions, it has teacher-to-student interactions one at a time, and it also has a period of silent reading. But there are also digital interactions. The students work independently on the computers for a few minutes, and they also work collaboratively. So we end up within the 90-minute period with all of the different interactions that we want to see in a classroom.
We're going to split it up today because today's the first day. Try and make it go quick and try and get something done. Please pay attention. This is the hardest thing that a teacher can ever do with a group of teenagers. You're a 1, you're a 2. You're a 3. See, we lost it already. You're a 4. I know you know, but he doesn't. You're a 5. You're a 6. You're a 7. You're a 1. You're a 2. You're a 3. You're a 4. You're a 5. You're a 6. You're a 7. You're a 1. You're a 2. And you're a 3. Make it happen. Okay.
So the lesson starts with logistics. We just come back after the break, we needed to talk about the end of the semester, and we needed to talk about co-op evaluation, so we did all that. Then I sat through a 4-minute play-by-play summary of the Eagles game on Sunday, which I smiled and nodded through. After that, I give a little bit of an introduction. That's direct instruction. And then I put the kids physically into new groups to work for the day. Now, a good teacher is going to look at me and say, "Rye, you wasted 5 minutes. You should have had those groups on the board when they walked in the door." And that is true. It was a use of 5 minutes, but I really thought that this time it was worth the sacrifice to get them up out of the seat and move to find their new groups for the day. So that's what we did.
There's a few words in the English language that people use constantly. They use it a lot and don't know what it means. One of those words is analyze. People think analyze means to examine something. It doesn't. It means to explain how the parts comprise the whole. It's like an equation. A more difficult one that people misuse all the time is the word irony. So what I want to do this morning to start is, you've got 3 whiteboards on your table. There are markers in the bin. Pick one whiteboard, and as a group, write me the best definition of irony that you can muster. What do you think that it is, to start with?
At this part of the lesson, we have a very short direct instruction piece where I introduce the concept of irony, and then we gauge the students' prior knowledge. You'll notice that I did this as a group on little whiteboards. They had to talk, communicate, physically write something. At another point in the lesson, I collect those and I put them up on the board where they sit for the remainder of the unit so that we can change them when we're done and show our growth. I walk around the room at this point, and then I use the students' answers to continue and revisit that direct instruction, and I use their answers to try and build a little bit better understanding of what irony is.
Write it down. We'll get back to it. Write that down. That's not bad. That's not bad. That's a good thought. Damon, no guesses. No guesses. Dan, no guesses.
Just like the Eagles.
I know some like examples.
Give me an example.
If you're an architect, what your percentage?
Write that down.
Defense wins the championship.
Not homeless. What would be even better than homeless? An architect does what? Designs. So what would be ironic if an architect's house not was homeless, but if their house was what?
It's Rivers here, boys.
That'd be better. You know what I mean? The electrician's house burns down from an electrical fire. You guys are done? Done?
The Eagles.
Colby, can you get something down? Did you get something down?
Oh, we're doing that.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Your group, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I'll play my second.
You guys got something written down? What'd you guys say it was? Pay attention and listen, because this is complicated.
When something happens or occurs that goes against your expectations.
That's not wrong. And the key word in Troy's definition is expectations. Expectations have a big thing to do with irony. That is called verbal irony. What do we call verbal irony every day? What is it? Sarcasm.
Say/do one thing and mean another.
Precisely. That is precisely the definition of irony. James?
Jagger got it.
Jagger got it? So each group defines 2 words. This is, after all, basically just a vocabulary lesson where students are accessing vocabulary that we're going to learn and apply and find examples of later. Today was really just about getting the definitions. This would have been a really easy thing to do digitally. But as you can see, I thought being the first day back, it would be a good opportunity for students to get up and move around the room. You could call it a gallery walk or whatever you want. There were 7 groups. Each group had 2 words. Then they had to get up, walk around the room to find the definitions to the 12 words that they were missing. It's a simple way to collect the vocabulary that we can refer to, but it required them to work together and physically move, and honestly, the whole activity only took about 16 minutes. On the internet and write the definition of the 2 words that you have. Make sure you put the word at the top of your whiteboard. So as a group, very quickly, you have 2 words, they're right there. Find a definition on the internet, write it neatly on your 2 remaining whiteboards. If you're confused about definitions, let me know. Put your 2-word definitions in, and then, and listen to me carefully, there are at least 2 of you in your group. So split up, figure out how to attack this thing, leave your whiteboards on your table, and you got about 12 minutes to go get all the definitions. Once the students had collected definitions to all of the vocabulary words, working collaboratively and physically, they had to go sit back down at their tables and work independently on the computer for about 8 to 10 minutes. What they were doing is finding an online resource about irony and linking the appropriate words on their vocabulary sheet. This was done independently and digitally, and it took about 10 minutes. Use the web. Do not use the Google definition to link. I want you to find a website that has this stuff on it. For most of them, if you find one good website about irony, you can link the same website to 10 of the 14 words. Do not link the Google definition. That does not help us. Find a website. What is the keyboard command for create a link? Control K. Listen, highlight a word, so find your link. So maybe you find one that has 10 of these words on it. You highlight a word, Control K brings up this. Boom. All you got to do is paste the link right there. All 14 of your words should be hyperlinked to a resource that is not the Google definition. If you can, avoid any dictionary. Try and find a website about irony. Try and link as many words to the same website as you can. So maybe look for 2 or 3 websites before you just start linking. It should take you less than 15 minutes to do it. Ready? Here we go. This is an ironic story by Edgar Allan Poe. So we ended last unit with Edgar Allan Poe. And we are going to start this unit with Edgar Allan Poe. This story has 2 different types of irony in it. It doesn't have the third. There are 3 types of irony, and this story has 2 of them in it. But we're going to talk about that on Wednesday. What we're going to do for the last 20 minutes of class, we have about 25 minutes left, but if you guys can read for 20 minutes, that'll be perfect. This story is broken into, I have broken it into 6 sections. You'll see there, it says section 1. Section 1 happens to be, by coincidence, just that top page. You'll notice, like section 2 goes on to the next page a little bit. So pay attention and look for the word section. There's section 3. I put the document outline for you, so if you just click on section 3, you'll go to the top of section 3. If I go back to section 1, I can see section 1. What you have is the story over here, and on this side, you have a blank space. Your job is very, very simple. Read each section, and at the end of every section, write a bullet point summary on the right-hand side of the action that occurred. I don't need to know about the characters. I don't need to know about the conflict. All I want to know is the bullet points of the plot, or if there's any important things that you really can't leave off that you learned. So you read one section at a time. You write a summary over here. Does that make sense? The summary does not need to be in paragraph format. It can totally be in bullet format. Everybody with me? Everybody with me? Two things. Number one, if you would like a paper copy because you do not want to read on the computer screen, you may come get one by Xander right there. There is a paper copy. It is 9:20 when I finish.